Hello everybody, my name is Kaaatie, and today in this video I'm going to be telling you on how fundamental paper education changed my life, kind of. Now, it didn't necessarily change my life, but it did make me want to do something different than what I was usually doing. It essentially gave me a new goal in life. It made me view differently on what I wanted to do. Anyways, in case you don't know what fundamental paper education is, which I don't know why you don't, considering you click on this video, but whatever, I guess. In case you don't know what fundamental paper education is, fundamental paper education, or FPE for short, was created by Kaaatie, or A3D Ghost, on March 1st, 2024. It took place in this high school with murderous teachers, where if you failed, then you get absolutely slaughtered. There was a demon in there, and it was overall a wacky world that was made out of paper. It was definitely very unique and was planned to be its own series, but was cut short at basically the first episode due to tons of backlash, harassment, and all of that stuff. After that quick little summary, time to actually get on with the video on how fundamental paper education sort of changed my life. Now, when I first heard about fundamental paper education, obviously I didn't know much about it. I only knew that it was called fundamental paper education. I knew what Miss Circle was, and I knew what Miss Hiroku was. And I just knew murderous teachers. The first bit of fundamental paper education I saw that was actually a video. I had heard about it earlier, through community post or whatever. I didn't think much of it, but more shorts of it appeared on my For You page. And the first video of fundamental paper education I ever watched was this short by Hiroku, where Miss Hiroku was chasing Edward or whatever. It turned out to be nice. And I remember the exact thoughts in my head were, oh, so I guess there's some nice teachers? Yeah. Very wise words of mine. It lingers in my head every day, thinking about my first. Anyways, after that, couple more videos appeared on my For You page, and I got curious enough to search it up, wondering what all the hype was about. It actually took me 20 minutes to find the video, because I thought it was going to be called Fundamental Paper Education, but it was called Basics in Behavior, so that was a little embarrassing, I guess. But after watching it, I was a bit confused. I thought the animation style was unique and cool. Had no clue what none of the characters were, or any of the character names, except for Miss Circle. And I actually didn't know this, but I thought there was already a couple of episodes. I thought the Hiroku video was canon. That's why I thought there's nice teachers, which there are, but I thought Hiroku was one of them. But after watching the video, I was basically like, oh, okay, this is cool and stuff, but I have no clue who any of these characters are, what they do, all that stuff. No clue who this demonic lady is. I actually used to think Alice was an alternate version of Claire, because I thought they looked similar at the time. Looking back, I now know they are not similar. Anyways, after looking at the video, I looked at the community post, read all the character names, got familiar with the characters, all that stuff. I watched the video a couple more times, trying to make sure I understood what was happening, because the video was only 3 minutes long. But I got familiar with the characters and stuff, familiar with the lore-ish. Then the whole Kaaatie verse came, and I was very confused on that, considering they were now colored and not paper.
With you, why are you
not paper? I will make a theory on that soon, don't worry, wink wink. But after watching the video a couple of times, maybe a week after, I'll be honest, I wasn't too interested in it. I started seeing more AUs and stuff, the red one, the green one, all that stuff. I also saw more shorts, and I was like, oh, okay, honestly, this is pretty cool and stuff. I got more and more familiar with the characters, understood more of their smaller little gimmicks, like Bubbles Duck. Or how like Zip has this little swirl thing similar to Miss Stavel, or how Chip is the younger brother of Zip. Fun fact: Chip actually isn't his canon name. He does not have a canon name at all. I went like a whole year without knowing that at all. And I watched like more of the AUs, like the red one, the green one, the scary one, all that stuff. Why are all the AUs after colors? I don't know. But then after watching those, waiting for fundamental paper education like teasers or releases, I got familiar with the Kaaatie verse characters like Exister, Fen, Agatha, Biscuit, all that stuff. And at the peak of my interest of fundamental paper education was when the advanced class AU came. That was definitely the peak of my interest, as that's when I was most invested in it. It was basically my hyperfixation at the time. But after getting familiar with the advanced class AU characters, little time travel back actually, I used to have the series called Stickman Island. It was like there were 6 episodes. It was on an old channel. They're like all less than a minute long, and it got canceled, and the channel was deleted. I actually don't know why. But after watching the advanced class AU, I thought to myself, I could give animation another shot. It'd be cool, honestly, because I thought to myself, becoming an animator or artist and making OCs, you get to do literally whatever you want, basically. You want to have an epic fight scene with them, you can do that. You want to make them do a little jiggy dance, you can do that. You want to make a character that is a Wendigo that's also half bat, that's also half alpha, that also was in the army, that also freaking, I don't know, then you could do that. And it was honestly quite interesting to think of it, that you could literally just make your own world technically. Sure, it takes time, and a bunch of time, that is actually, but most of the time it's worth it if you're really passionate about it. And the thought became intriguing enough to me, so I was like, I'll give animation another shot. So I created my first proper OC that wasn't a stickman. Ren. Ta-da! He's a deity, and he's inspired by Mr. Shapley, design-wise at least. And he was going to be my main OC, but stuff happened, and he's no longer that. Poor guy. But eventually, I started making more and more OCs with Vortex, Sophia, Sarah, all that stuff. I'm going to be honest, the most of these were inspired by fundamental paper education characters. The only one that wasn't was Sophia. And yes, I may or may not get her name from the fundamental paper education character. But Vortex was inspired by Agatha, and Sarah was inspired by Crazy. I know I am not very original, I must admit, but they all are unique in their own ways, I promise you. Anyways, after fundamental paper education got canceled, I am going to be honest, I went through something similar through the 5 stages of grief. I am dead serious. The series about paper made me sad. I am literally not even joking when I said this. When it got canceled, I was like, oh, no, I'm sure it'll come back soon. If anything, the advanced class AU will have more episodes and stuff. Then the advanced class AU got canceled, and I was honestly quite mad. Mainly at the people who harass like Kaaatie and stuff. And then I was sad for a while. I didn't really go through bargaining. I don't know what that means. I was quite sad about it for a while, and then I have now accepted it. There's no way I went through something like the 5 stages of grief over freaking paper, bro. I was sad about a series that has a child with an apple stem, bro. What is wrong with me? Anyways, now that I think about it, I didn't really go through how it changed my life, kind of. I mean, it gave me a new goal, and that's literally what I said. So let's get back to that, shall we? Anyways, when I watched fundamental paper education and stuff, it mainly made me realize if I work hard enough, I can kind of do whatever. It's like, it made me realize what like creativity was. like giving my OC's own lore, little gimmicks that make them unique enough. Because every fundamental paper education character has something like 3 unique things about them. I know that's not a lot, but like it can go as the smallest things, such as Abby having an apple stem, or Oliver eating soap for a living, or Ziva barfing out rainbows upon seeing a heart despite seeing a woman split in half. It all just seemed quite unique to me, and it made me realize that with enough time and effort, you can essentially do whatever, kind of. And I'm not saying like if you work hard enough, you could take over the world. Now that I think of it, if you do work hard enough, you get to take over the world. I'm going to take note of this. Fundamental paper education has taught me if you work hard enough, you can take over the world. But it essentially just made me realize, just be creative and don't let hate get to you, I guess. It essentially just made me think, like, not even made me think, it just essentially gave me a new goal in life, and it made me, like, realize what I want to do for a living. And I do actively have fun with animating and drawing and all that stuff. So, yeah. Thanks, Fundamental Paper Education. You've also made me realize that taking over the world is possible with enough time and effort. Such an amazing series, isn't it? In all seriousness, I found and still find Fundamental Paper Education to be a great series. It inspired me to be creative and essentially just do what I want to do. And you should do that too. And again, no, I am not saying go take over the world just because I told you or a series about paper told you. Do it for the better. Anyways, in all seriousness, again, though, I still love fundamental paper education. And while I am quite sad that the fandom is dying and there isn't as much content of it anymore, I will say it's still in my heart. I still care for it. And I have accepted that it is going to die one day and no one's going to know what it is. And while I am definitely a lot, not necessarily less interested, more like a lot less, like, not obsessive, like, less hyper fixated on it, kind of, ish. I don't really know how to explain it, but I still care for it, and I do want to post more FPE content, and I wish the fandom was still alive and stuff, as it's honestly one of the only fandoms I've, like, been super big on, that was on YouTube, at least. I think the only one I could, like, think of was, like, Pokemon or something, but I don't even post Pokemon content. But anyways, that was how Fundamental Paper Education changed my life, kind of. Honestly, now that I think about it, I don't know really if I explained much how it changed my life. Kind of. Gotta put the kind of there. I'll have a really long description probably if you want to read it, if you like reading. Yeah. Goodbye and have a good day, I guess. Oh, and happy 2-year anniversary to Fundamental Paper Education. Thank you for watching.